family. Welcome back to Dark Woke, your direct link to all things politics, comedy, and culture. I am your host, Janaya Future Khan, champ yapper and frequent nuisance in the actress and comedy worlds. Let's get dialed in. But just before we jump, Dark Woke is a self-funded, self-produced show. We're on Patreon/Dark Woke. I am so grateful for all the support and for you just taking the time to listen. Okay, this is the latest or earliest I've ever recorded. It's like 4:44 a.m. Jay-Z did it first, but I am cuter. I am cuter. And I stayed up for two reasons. One, I had a comedy show, and so I had to do that, and I overestimated how late that show would go. Underestimated? Whatever. And the other thing is there's this bill, and I've been following the state of the big, beautiful bill. You know, the bill that's gonna, got Medicaid for about 14 million Americans, including vets, that's gonna just eradicate the vast majority of SNAP benefits, just like basic things to keep people fed and well. The kinds of things that you could expect, that what anyone could expect. Paying exorbitant taxes for zero return. Can we just take a moment for that? And then to know that not only did it get to the House floor, okay? The House passed the budget reconciliation bill, not the big beautiful bill as they call it, right? The GOP, but the budget reconciliation bill. Here's the thing that's very startling. So this the news just broke. A couple of hours ago. A couple of minutes ago. And I'm trying to wrap my head around this. This is the main takeaway outside of what we already know, right? Which is the egregious bill that's all about covering this massive tax break. The bill passed 214, right? 215. So it was 215 and 214. It passed by one vote. Two Republicans, Massey and Davis, had voted no with all Democrats. Okay? So those are people that we will maim in the wars, but whether or not we can decide on the day. So the Freedom Caucus chair, Andy Harris, voted present. Garbarino and Schwickert did not vote. This is what gets me, okay? Democrats were missing two members who died in office. Obviously, death is tragic, right? The circumstances around how they happen, when they happen. But if can we just, the implications here, right? The implications here. 215 to 214, two Republicans voted on our side. If we had those other two votes, right, we wouldn't be in a situation where, this is not hypothetical. Do you know what I mean? This is not a situation where, I was going to come in all silly. Do you know what I mean? I was a little bit drunk when I started watching C-SPAN. Do you know what I mean? To be honest, right? I'm a little bit drunk. I love C-SPAN. But these are not just ideas. This is not just legislation. This is not just policy. This is whether or not people can eat. This is whether or not people can get access to basic health. Because you see a doctor, there's a growth on their neck. Do you know what I mean? I'm just Googling some stuff. I'm just trying to wrap my head around how much fucking worse it's gonna get. I'm not even asking when it's gonna get better, right? I don't even need that information, but this is fucking so ugly. This is so fugly. I can't even. There's not enough cans in the world for this. But people aren't even getting cans anymore because the pantries are empty. There's nothing in the pantries. There's I'm this these are not glitches. I am glitching out. I am glitching out because I'm trying I'm trying to wrap my head around this. How we can approve a budget like this, how we could approve a spending package like this. It was razor thin. It was like this. I'm going to tell you something. I was at a very good comedy show. I performed. I did I was supposed to do 20. I did longer. I don't know why I'm telling you this. This is inconsequential. I guess we're just like gossip girls now, you know? But this was an extremely dramatic all night session. I've never uploaded an episode this late. Yeah, 4:49. So it's 7:50 at this present moment Eastern. So I apologize for those who are not getting this episode at the usual time. But it's coming. Don't worry, babies. It is coming. It's significant on some level that this was a razor thin vote. It is. It's just not enough. It's not enough. This is the centerpiece legislation of Trump's second term agenda. This is a win for him. And millions, tens of millions of Americans, tens of millions of people lose because of this. I'm thinking about the resistance to the bill that initially started out with assault resistance and everything else. But there is one Republican that I'm pulling up the clip here. Thomas Massie, right? So he is the one who opposed the bill. And I want to just play this clip for you because I thought it was pretty cool. And sometimes it's just good to hear why people voted the way they did when they vote right.
Trump allies from the MAGA base for voting no? No, actually, I've got a lot of people in the MAGA base who realize that we could have done this differently. We could extend the tax cuts and paid for them, but instead we're not. I mean, over here, the people in favor of this bill say that under the policies of this bill, we're going to add $20 trillion to debt over the next 10 years, which is $3.5 to $5 trillion more than would have been otherwise. This is deficit neutral. Yeah, that's a joke.
Sorry that this clip is such garbage. All of these things are sort of happening, in real time. But I hope we can make out some of the words.
And Trump was pretty blunt inside the room when it came to the issue of Medicaid, Wolf. In fact, we were told.
So for the record, Donald Trump said that Rep. Massie, who again is the Republican who opposed the bill, Trump said that Massie should be voted out of office. What a little bitch.
From multiple sources, two sources inside the room, that Trump said, quote, don't F around with Medicaid. And he used the curse word, not F around, but that was the message to his colleagues. The question.
Okay, Manu, we get it. Manu Raju, please continue. That is his name. I was not being racist.
Is going to be whether those Republicans will ultimately fall in line, because we know that Mike Johnson can only afford to lose 3 Republican votes on a straight party line vote. He's trying to get this out of the House by Thursday, but there is so much opposition concern within the ranks. Can he get those members to fall in line? That's going to be a big question as members walk out of this room.
So this was, obviously them trying to get it past the House floor. Massie was against it prior to, and then he comes out and actually votes no against it, which I think is notable. I can't say what is commendable right now because it feels almost a bit like a lie to say I'm in shock, but I'm still impacted by this. I still was hoping that this bill would fail. I was hoping that this bill would fail. I wanted this bill to fail. It's the tax, defense, and energy priorities. But of course, if we actually peel the layers back, when they say tax, they mean tax breaks for the rich and increased taxes for the poor and for the working class and for middle class peoples. And those taxes are going to show up in all kinds of ways. We talked about how they show up in terrorists, for example, where it's not so obvious. But this is messed up regardless. Like all blue states are going to be punished exponentially. They're also the places where people like trans people and migrants, et cetera, are safest, right? Defense, astronomical budget. Astronomical. Anytime they talk about not having money for anything, right? Not having money for reparations, not having money for, I don't know, public school education, not having money for lunch programs for children, right? Not having money for art. It's because our defense budget is fucking massively inflated. Massively, right? We're talking like hundreds of billions of dollars. Hundreds of billions of dollars. And energy priorities. This big oil and gas they're just eating, they're cleaning up. And for the record, I don't know if I've been yapping or talking about gas a lot, but I have been haunted by another ad on the algorithm, okay? I'm getting haunted right now by big oil, and they keep showing me an advertisement where there's it's a video, and there's some random girl in a very, very unimaginative business casual outfit. Just not good, okay? And then somebody's like, "Oh my God, girl, that outfit is gas." And then their brand comes up, and that's their commercial. The commercial for big oil is somebody calling an outfit gas. Gretchen, they're never going to say fetch. Stop trying to make it happen. Nobody says that outfit is gas. That never happened. You are inhaling propane in your home. Please address it. You are killing our air. You are poisoning our bodies. You poison our waters. You are dead dinosaurs. You've used primordial ooze that is dead dinosaur bones to ruin our environment so that we can drive fucking cars that we don't even need to be driving anymore. Where are we going? There's nowhere to go. You've ruined everything. You are destroying every beautiful place. We have electric cars. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm furious. I'm so fucking mad. I'm so oh, okay. Say something useful, future. Say something useful. Okay. It's also notable. I'm finding the places where we saw glimmers. These glimmers that we're seeing now are going to turn into wins soon. It is significant, right? These are glimmers. But this bill experienced several setbacks. I ultimately wanted it to fail. I hoped it would fail, but it experienced several setbacks. It forced the GOP leadership to, see through holdouts, that their concerns would be addressed. You saw a small contingent of Republicans, not for righteous means, as we went over in our last episode, but for their own personal interest, because they are Republicans in blue states, and they did not want they wanted more around their state and local taxes. They didn't want to be punished for being in blue states. So it wasn't because, I don't know, their constituents would be hungry or their constituents would be sick and dying and not be able to afford healthcare. And again, I would like to remind you that the people who are most impacted by this are, around 54-year-olds, right? That's going to be me soon. That's many of you. That's all of us. Because when you make it acceptable, and this is the thing that I will never, ever understand about our society, right? If you make it acceptable for one population, any population, but one, to suffer, right? That their suffering is acceptable for my comfort. It very well will be you at some point. You could very easily be that. It will be you at some point, because when you make it acceptable for anyone, it's acceptable for everyone. And all we do is just keep hoping that it's not going to be, as long as it's not me, right? As long as it's not me. I'm just so disgusted by this. Something to add that they made a change on the bill of is that there's no more tax credits for new renewable energy power plants. So they're going to begin construction within 60 days of enactment of this legislation and be in service by the end of 2028. This measure, or the measure, makes an exception for nuclear plants, which must be under construction by the end of 2028. So, okay, great. Okay, great. That's great. So great. Thanks so much for that, guys. You cut SNAP, but we got that. It was so close. Like, I was watching this shit. I was watching C-SPAN at the edge of my seat. So here I am, a little bit of tequila swirling around in there, right? Coming off of this comedy show, we're all just yapping. And I want to say thank you, because whether we know it or not, you all tend to be the first people I run jokes by. So, but it was so tight. It was such a fucking close bill. Like, this was about, like, they talk about the defense budget. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. Like $900 billion, right? To secure America's border. If you vote against this bill, then you're voting against American energy. You're voting against securing America's border. You're voting against helping those middle-class families. No, you're not. Like, everything that this administration says and every one of their dogs say is a fucking lie. This is not just a win for Donald Trump. This is a win for Mike Johnson. That little raggedy bitch, right? House Speaker. This is a win for him. He had to wade his way through unhappy Republic. They didn't give a fuck about what the Democrats think. They don't give a fuck about what the Democrats think. They don't give a fuck about what the Democrats want. What this is about was getting every Republican to toe the line. And they were almost successful in every single one. And I'm reminded again, and I don't want to belabor the fact, but if we had more investment in healthier members of Congress, if we could move past this octogenarian kind of, I'm going to work until I die, we might have won. We might have won. But that's neither here nor there, right? If we really want to talk about where we got fucked with that, it was RBG. And, I know that there's a lot of sensitivity about that, but she really fucked us. Do you know what I mean? Like, her hubris really fucked us bad. And, I like her face, with the whole Shepherd Fairy kind of poster and the little crown that's for Biggie, RBG, da-da-da. Like, and I won't take away from, what she stood for and those kinds of things, but she really fucked us because she refused to step down. Under Obama, we did not get Garland because of her. She refused to. We did not get Merrick Garland, and that is exactly why we're where we are right now with the Supreme Court. Everything would have been different if she had just stepped down, but she thought that she was going to live forever. And I get it, girl. You're out here doing crunches, but babe, you're already the shape of a candy cane, okay? Just at that point, maybe you should not be working anymore and just rest and take a break. Hey, was that really mean? Sorry. I also haven't slept. Like, I don't, what are, mutual aid. I'm like, typically I have sleep and I'm armed with like some kind of positivity that I can offer you. But this bill is just disgusting. You know, let's talk about the fact that there was an immigration package attached to it. But I want to be really clear. Like, remember how they said, and you heard Maris sort of name this the GOP member, the Republican, who was like, "I'm not going to vote for this," but all the Trump administration has done has said, "Oh well, we're gonna eliminate the debt. We're gonna eliminate the debt. There's so much debt. There's debt everywhere. We're gonna eliminate the debt." Meanwhile, right? Meanwhile, this fucking bill extends trillions of dollars in tax cuts from his first term, along with new campaign promises, right? Like, we're going to talk about the including no taxes on tips and overtime wages, because that's actually that is going to get rigged so fucking hard, and we're going to get fucked by that. But all of this will add 2.4 trillion over 10 years to the national debt, which already exceeds 36 trillion. Now, we've talked about the ways in which national debt needs to be understood in a much more nuanced way. Okay? We've talked about that. And we've talked about why it's happening and why these taxes are happening, because to offset the cost of all of these breaks that they want to do, they're going to slash everything that is a social safety net, all the programs that we see out there, by more than $1 trillion over the next 10 years. So even after this administration is long gone and gout takes whoever it's going to take, this is still going to be haunting us. And the legacies of this is still going to be haunting us. And not just what's on paper, not just in a financial way, but like people's family members could and will die because of this. There's going to be generational trauma from this. Was COVID not enough? Is being bombarded, rightfully so, with images of starving children that this country, our tax dollars help to starve. Is that not enough? We're creating cycles of unbelievable harm that will have shadows far longer than our eyes can see. $500 billion in cuts to Medicare over the next decade to keep the national deficit within legal limits. At that point, I'm like, fuck the legal limits. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. People deserve dignity and they deserve health. Fuck you. You know, the legislation will likely strip Medicaid coverage from 8.7 million people and lead to 7.6 million more uninsured people over 10 years. That's where we're at. That's exactly where we're at. Their hope and expectation is that people drop out of the program. That's what they want. That's what they want. And for the record, right, whatever happened to those big slashing initiatives that they had, you know, all these things. You know what? Actually, no. I'm going to pull up an Azalea Banks tweet. We need some energy. We got some rage. We need some energy. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. This is an Azalea Banks tweet. Okay. This is not me. This is not me. You know, we have to read Azalea Banks. Okay. You know that she is an oracle twice every 24 hours or so. This is not one of those times. We're reading an Azalea Banks tweet so that we can get in a mood, because we need some ferocity right now, and she has it. Here we go. I really hate a fat faggot bitch. Fat ass faggots with no swag, no nuance, no culture, no real reason to exist. Gassed up thinking this general discourse is an invitation for them to insert themselves because they act like dumb chicken head bitches, have D-cup titties with inverted nipples, and suck dick. For fuck's sakes. Now I see why the party said fit gays only. I would not want to see or smell y'all loud fat bitches either. Okay. Okay, one more. She's done a thread. Just one more. Like, I'm in my mind, she's talking to the Trump administration. Imagine trying to serve a bitch fever and call someone a fag hag with ingrown hairs on your neck and inverted nipples. Why is she saying this? What is... Like, these faggots would never even be fabulous enough for me to fart in their mouths if they needed CPR. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, well, wait. Would not, they wouldn't, I would not, they wouldn't be fabulous enough for me to fart in their mouths if they needed CPR. That's a good line. That's a really good line. Can we just say that's a good line? Okay. It's a good line. I'm tempted to, because I don't want to keep this episode going for too long because I'm so late. Because I followed this fucking story like a psycho all night. Because I did want to, there was a couple other things I wanted to hit, but there's a part of me that really just wants to get this episode out. And you know what? Maybe I'll get this episode out, but then let's do an episode. I'll put a Friday one out. How about that? Would you listen to a Friday episode? Okay. Would you listen to a Friday episode? There is something though I want to bring up before we make a decision ultimately, which is that Trump had the president of South Africa in the White House today. Oh, yesterday. My apologies. And he said to this South African president that the genocide of white people in South Africa was happening. And it did not go well, as you can imagine. They contested it immediately. And I just want to play this clip for you because it's very good. Here we go.
You're taking people's land away. We acknowledge that.
So because this happens really fast, Trump goes, they're taking people's land, and the president immediately goes, no, they're not.
And those people in many cases are being executed. They're being executed. And they happen to be white, and most of them happen to be farmers. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough situation. I don't know how you explain that. How do you explain that? They're taking people's land away, and in many cases those people are being executed, and in many cases it's not the government that's doing it, it's people that kill them and then take their land, and nothing happens to them. You're taking...
So the president of South Africa was like, this is not happening. This never happened. He's making this up. They're all making this up. And I just want to give you, I just want to pull up a little bit more, if you will indulge me, because it's pretty unbelievable.
So that for president. It's for him. No, seriously.
I'd rather have him answer.
Yeah, I'd rather answer. It will be.
Our president will respond to you.
Yeah, let me.
Thank you, Mr. President.
It will take President Trump listening.
So this is where he starts going. He goes, President Trump will have to listen. He will have to listen in order to hear what is true, because they were asked about the genocide. You should, like, in this moment, right? Trump leans over very hard because he's just like, oh no, hold on a second. You're calling me a simple bitch. And Ramaphosa is like, yes, I am. I absolutely am. Get him, Cyril.
To the voices of South Africans, some of whom are his good friends, like those who are here. When we have talks between us around a quiet table, it will take President Trump to listen to them. I'm not going to be repeating what I've been saying. I would say if there was Afrikaner farmer genocide, I can bet you these three gentlemen would not be here, including
Wait.
my Minister of Agriculture.
he said, I fuck with this guy because he said, look at these three whites. If there was a white genocide in South Africa, these three whites would literally not be here because it's a genocide. And Donald Trump, that fucking raggedy, scurvy-having, squirrel-top bitch with inverted nipples is just sitting like, I hate you. But he just closed his eyes. He just closed his eyes because he's already thinking about how belligerent he's about to be.
He would not be with me. So it'll take him, President Trump, listening to their stories, to their perspective. That is the answer to your question.
But, Mr. President, I must say that we have, wait. We have thousands of stories talking about it,
Sure.
and we have.
And that's a lie. So what I wish, okay, just listen. Sorry, I cut it off so fast because I was like, I should have let it play for a second. But what Trump is gonna, what Trump does, you know, his strategy, and I think rhetorical strategies are always important to pay attention to. So he does this strategy where he uses repetition. And he doesn't let people get away. And we've talked about this. He doesn't let people get away with something he disagrees with. So the second that somebody asserts something that he decides is not true, he actually will never concede the point. He does not concede the point. And it made me think, okay, well, how would I work with, and what's the way to work with somebody that doesn't concede the point, right? Is that where Trump does falter is when you take the point and fit it into his narrative in a way that he can't contest. For example, let me just, I'll let him play out for a second, right? Because Trump's about to intervene, and I'm going to give you an example of what I mean.
Documentaries, we have news stories.
Also, he's asserted that there's thousands of stories, documentaries, whatever, news articles. None of that is true, obviously. It does not exist.
Natalie here, somebody here to turn that. I could show you a couple of things, and I have to, it has to be responded to.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see the articles, please, if you would, and turn the lights down. Turn the lights down, and just put this on. It's right behind you.
Okay, so I fucking fuck with South Africans so hard. Cyril is literally fucking laughing right now. That Trump is like, we're having a movie night. We're going to show them this thing. Here's what's fascinating to me. This is where you get this, the way to address this. I mean, it's not to suggest that, there was any major failure here. And then there's one other thing I want to talk to. I'm saying this for myself. There's one other thing I want to talk to before I let you go. Because this really fucking okay, wait, no. Focus, Future. Say the thing you want to say, then say the other thing. Okay. The thing I want to say is when you have a person who will not concede a point, you take their point and apply it in a way that would have impact on them. So what I mean is when Trump's saying there's thousands of documentaries saying this, there's thousands of documentaries saying that, a counter to that is, well, there's thousands of documentaries about you that say that you are a thief, that you're bankrupt, that you're this and that. So should we listen to those as well? What that does is it doesn't necessarily make the person do what you want, but it forces them to concede ground. And once you get somebody to concede some ground, you've got them. You can keep pushing them back, which is why he's so belligerent and refuses to do so, because that tactic has worked on him. I haven't seen it worked as effectively as I'd want to and as consistently, because most journalists that have come into contact with Trump, I guess for the purpose of professionalism, cowardice, or I don't know, trying to hit a bottom line, they'll push and then they give up, and that is his expectation, is that they'll give up, which, is the practice of a bully. But when you take a position, you say, so should we believe everything that is out there on you? Should we believe everything that's out there about America that says America's this and that? And you can even go deep. Something that he really can't, concede. But that is just something to consider. This part really got me, though, so he plays the thing, which, I mean, it's unbelievable. I've got to show you this clip. So he plays the thing, and what the South Africans do, it's incredible, is they turn their backs. So Trump has the TV brought out puts on this bullshit, like this fucking absolute bullshit, and they turn their backs to the screen.
But we are starting with this whiteness. We are cutting the throat of whiteness in Ghana.
So right now, of course, he's like, they're playing propaganda videos or whatever, or they're cutting the throat of whiteness, whatever, taking things out of context, I'm sure. But, you know, maybe in that one regard, it is, we all know how this shit works, okay? They refuse to engage. There is literally no precedent, no grounds, no evidence, no nothing of any kind of white genocide, not even fucking close. Once again, 72% of South Africa's privately owned farmland, 72% is owned by white South Africans who only make up 7% of the population. If you can't understand how those conditions literally could not, like, they don't turn into genocide for the people in power. Like, if you don't understand how that is actually a complete victory for apartheid, right? And then the only reason, in terms of legacy, and I want to remind you again that the people who came over here are the scurvy whites, right? The ringworm whites. We got the bottom of the barrel. We got the barnacles stuck to the barrel. Are barnacles on barrels? Maybe if they're in the ocean. That's the ones that we got, okay? We got the vitamin deficient ones. Like, so them having their backs turned to this, and it is so, I don't know how to explain this, but it's so South Africa. Like, it's, they are so able to express themselves with subtlety and in body, and it's very interesting because it's so not Western, I guess is what I want to say. It's not to turn your back to something like, it's like throwing a shoe, like, you know what I mean? It's like throwing a shoe, right? Which is so Arab. I do appreciate these like very small, you know, protests, I guess is one way to say it, with you know, that have real cultural significance. This is a tiny rant, and then I'll let you go. But first, I'm going to play this clip from CNN. It's so short, where they're talking about the fraudulent claims, just so you know that I'm not making this up. I know you know, but just in case, right? Just in case.
Because, Larry, you can give us some context on one of the videos that President Trump played in the Oval Office. He was claiming that there was 1,000 roadside graves.
Lies.
Apparently, this is a video that had been of a political statement made by a specific political party in South Africa, but not of actual grave sites, just a political demonstration to highlight violence against farmers.
Do you understand? It would be like if I made, here I am at home and I'm like, I'm going to have a protest, right? And I get a bunch of cardboard or cardstock, and then my friends come over and we all cut the cardstock into tombstone shapes, right? Maybe if we got foam money, it's foam. And then we cut them, and then we paint them, and then we put so-and-so, and then I put like a few hundred out on the street, and that's my little protest art piece. That is what Trump, this administration, is using as proof of a white genocide that does not exist, because they are making it up. Okay. There is one other thing I want to bitch about, though. There's one other thing. And let me know in the comments, you know, if you want a Friday one. It's totally fine if you don't, because I'm more than happy to just, you know, pick us up on Monday. Look. So Theo Von, right? Theo Von, the comedian, you've heard me yap about him a trillion times. He put out a clip today, right? It was today or the day before, but I'm pretty sure it was today. It made the round. Anyway, it made the rounds today, and you know, he's obviously speaking for the children of Palestine that are being murdered, are being starved. Tens of thousands are going to be dead, are dying. That is Israel's plan in its entirety. So, you know, Theo Von, and it's good. It's good that he's saying something, right? But he's like, man, I don't know how this is going to happen, how we got here, man. I don't know how, but this is just, it's terrible, and he's going off like that. And all I could think of was that picture of him coming up when he was in Miami, sitting down with like Ivanka Trump and Rubio. And I mean, he's got a personal relationship with Trump, and they say, well, how could this happen? How could this happen? You helped. And I don't have an outsized view of him being responsible for something that's been in the process for decades, right? But if you can't see, right, the role that you played, the relationships that you have being a reflection of that, the role that you played in further popularizing, this is not some, the Democrats would have done it better, this and that, but like there's leverage there. It's small, but it's there. Netanyahu owns Trump more than anybody else because they share the same purse strings at this point. Like, this is not an America first, like anything. Everything has to do with fucking Israel. Israel runs the United States at this point. It's actually unbelievable. I mean, I got deeper into some research. Like the $5 billion that we're giving them, we don't even have that money. Did you know that? Did you know that we don't even have the $5 billion here? Because we got, 36 trillion in debt. So that we give them that money that puts America further in debt, right? However complex and nuanced that is, it's definitely not going to anybody here, anything here that needs it, right? But they don't spend that $5 billion. So we give them $5 billion cash. They don't spend that $5 billion. That $5 billion accrues. And then whatever is used off of that, that's what we are literally lining their coffers up. Wow. And so when somebody is saying, like Theo Vaughn is just like, I'm so sorry, this is not acceptable, I can't believe this, whatever. What is happening and how it's happening right now is a direct result of Donald Trump. It doesn't matter what position you are on or who you vote. That is objectively true. If you cannot see that it is objectively true, then you do not read. You don't understand history. You don't understand foreign policy. You don't understand how things are happening. This is all traced back to Trump's first success, his first, time in office in 2016 when that precedent was initially broken. And I can tell you, I was there. So in 2017 when he was inaugurated, that break in precedent, right? The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, all these things. The precedent being broken started from there. An already horrific situation became a pressure cooker. And October 7th was a direct result of that. But what is happening now? This is the guy who said he was going to end all the wars, hasn't done a single fucking thing. We bankroll Israel's rampant, horrific, inhumane abuse of Palestinians. We bankroll, this continued conflict for Ukraine. And it's like, either give them what they need, everything that they need to win this thing or to end this thing, or don't. But as Zelensky has said several times over, like, it's just not enough. And whatever skin you have in the game, I'm not even arguing for or against. I'm saying this man just lies. He lies about everything. And we all pay the price. Everybody everywhere in the world, except for Israel. It's just kind of fucking unbelievable to say. And I'll say this, and I'll say it explicitly, and I know that you already know. This has never, ever, ever been about Hamas. I think at certain points at times, right, we've had to give space for Hamas acting monstrously, this and that and the other, right? I don't care for Hamas. But it's never been about them. No, they needed to turn every Arab into Hamas. Because regardless of how many more they say they need to get, this is a failed campaign by any stretch of the imagination. It is a failed fucking campaign. You were not successful. We're still here. We're still fucking here. Right? With all of these, all of Israel looking for Hamas. This is the most sophisticated military country, most sophisticated military regime in the fucking world, and sorry, in the Middle East. And you can't? I think we know. At this point, Piers Morgan is back out. That guy's a devil half the time. He came out, he was swinging so hard for Israel. And he is just like, no, this is a genocide. He's finally calling it a genocide. And there's a comment right under this clip that I pulled up, right? I was going to just play the clip, but this caught my attention. So the same person who posted this clip is the same person who posted this comment. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but why does it feel like a memo went out? All of a sudden, people are kind of calling Israel up. And it's because the reason why we're all calling Israel is because we all started calling Israel out. That's why it happened. The reason why Israel is being called out is because we all started calling Israel out. Because their fucking children are starving. Because people are fucking starving. But my God, if we had opened our fucking mouths several weeks ago. But Israel has such a stronghold on this fucking country. They have this, and this country abuses its citizens, its graduate students, its students who have spoken out against this. That is partly why it took this long. The fear that they've incited, the McCarthyism, the censorship, by the Free Speech Administration, no less, helped to create conditions of silence. But the reason why all of a sudden people are calling Israel out is because people started calling Israel out. We give each other permission to fight. I can feel myself getting a little sleep. What time is it right now? It is 5:31. Okay. I stayed up for you though, babies. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't behind the curve on this one. It would feel weird to not have the bill, but I wish I said things that were. But yeah, the big beautiful bill. No, it's full of ugly truths by fugly people, and the proletariat. We will find each other, and we will win. That much I know. I do know that, because every time there's a new golden age for them, it sparks a revolutionary age for us. But I do, like, I'm not trying to run. Do you know, like, I'm not running. We gotta make the conditions more amenable here. Okay. I don't want to run. My girl Sula, like, she's gonna be old in a couple of years. I'm not leaving her. I'm gonna throw her in a backpack. She's too big. No, I'll get a bag big enough for her. Anyway. No, you see the ramblings coming. The ramblings coming. We will pay attention to every way that this bill rolls out, how it impacts people. We will find these people. We will collect them. And we will fight. But we've got some primaries that are coming up. We've got a house to flip. We've got revolutions to stir up. We have our marching orders. Because of people's outrage, a little bit of aid has trickled into Gaza, but it's not nearly enough. Not even close. The UN has confirmed that a small amount of aid is trickling in, and it is a direct quote from the UN that says it's nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough. The aid is there. Israel just refuses to let it in. This is a genocide. Israel is committing an act of genocide against Palestinian peoples. It was never about fucking Hamas. And now, thanks to Donald Trump, not only are they trying to incinerate 6 million people formerly in Gaza on a 6-mile strip, which was an open-air prison decades before, which had minimal access to water, electricity, food, and opportunity. They've tried to turn it to ash and rubble. They tried to starve people out. But now, with the help of Donald Trump, they're going to turn it into real estate opportunities. That's what this is all about. That four-way blockade, that's what it's all about. They want the land. And they've always wanted to land, because for Jewish extremism, the only way Israel is realized is if every Arab in it is eradicated. Yeah. The last thing I'll say before I go. Have I said that already a bunch of times? Okay. Mahmoud Khalil, the Columbus grad who was detained for protesting and speaking out against Israel's genocide against Palestine. He is set for a very important immigration hearing. So we're going to be following that story as well. He's been in custody since March, and this pivotal immigration hearing is happening today. So we will have updates on that. I will follow that story and let us know, because it's been 75 days since Mahmoud Khalil's arrest. So let me know, because it's okay if we don't want a Friday episode. Let me know if we want a Friday episode in the comments. And but if not, I'm here. Oh my God, I didn't even mention the fucking glitch. The way that I did not know, and the stress, the scream I scrumped, that was such a, okay, don't tell me, but that was a good episode, right? The episode was fucking good. We're talking about reparations, and we're talking about the race versus class thing, and I'm bringing us back to 2016 because I'm psycho and I remember everything. But I did that, and then to learn that the episode didn't take. I recorded that shit at like 2 something and finished at 4 a.m. And because I took a nap between 1 and 2 because I was exhausted. And I was like, I'm getting this episode out, and then to find out it was a piece of unusable shit that also was 5 hours long. I was like, I went girl interrupted. I went full on fucking girl interrupted, 100%. So I'm so glad that I had to finagle some things because the VLC converter couldn't work, because the MK4 file, which is the backup file, was too dense and coded differently. And then and I'm not even going to get into it. But the point is that I was able to strip it, which was good. We did it. But oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. And yes, I would absolutely love to know what the linguistics think of that one. But I'm sending love out to y'all. We have a big, big, big fight ahead of us. It's true. But we always have. We always have, and we always will. We get to decide if we're the injured party or if we're the agency one. We get to decide whether or not we are injured, or our default mode, right, is to experience these things and see these things and say, okay, I am the injured party, or are we the one with agency? I think we are the one with agency. Every horrible thing that happens, much of which is absolutely outside of our control, what we do with what we know matters. What you do with what you know matters. Make something good. Do something good with what you know, right? And when you don't know what to do, do what you know. And you know a lot. You know a fucking lot. Because you wouldn't be here if you didn't. You couldn't be here. Because if everything that we've seen, right? Lack of healthcare, lack of public infrastructure, lack of love, isolation, depression. None of these things destroyed you. Oh, you've got scars, babe. You've got fucking scars. But they didn't take you out. They couldn't. If all of this that's happening right now isn't proof of just how much you've endured and how much you've survived, nothing is, just because the rest of the world is catching up to some of the struggles that everyday people like you and me have gone through. Right? You are uniquely equipped to not just survive this fight, but to win. You are exactly what we need right now. And I know it's hard to see it. It might even be hard to believe me. It might. But let me ask you this. When have I been wrong about something? That's not numbers, okay? Not numbers or volleyball. Not numbers, okay? Now, remove numbers. When have I been wrong? When? Exactly. I am right about this. Math and I broke up a long time ago, but you and me, we're still together. And this is our fucking fight. We don't turn away from what is ugly, from what is hard. Because we have been called and told and experienced those things ourselves. No, we don't turn away. We are the light. We don't need everybody to see it, but that's what we do. We don't need to, they don't need to see it. We just need to be it. And for the record, I do see it. I see you. We're going to be okay because we're going to keep fighting. And that's it. And sometimes the fighting is just staying as informed as we possibly can. And kudos to you. Kudos to you for not giving up, for not turning away when most of the world will. And I understand why. But sometimes all we need to know is that people knew that we existed. That's it. That our life had some measure of meaning and impact. And, I'm thinking of these kids and I'm getting emotional. I'm sorry. It's just like, some of them are just babies, I will never forgive. I'll never forgive this. And it's not something that will destroy me. Oh no, it's something that will, every time that I feel weak or small or unsure, I will remember this feeling. What this government made us complicit to. If that isn't confirmation that we need to build power so that our hand is never forced to hand over, be part of the exchange of money and corruption. If we have to build power to ensure that we are never complicit in a genocide anywhere ever again, let this be that fucking moment. Let it be now. I love you all very much. And I will talk to you so soon. Okay? Just want to say thank you so much for listening to Dark Woke. It means the world to me. This show really is a labor of love. We got new episodes dropping all the time. I can't even do the spiel. The fucking spiel. I'm pissed off. I fucking, every prayer, every ounce of being that I have is going out to these kids in Gaza right now and going out to you. So just want to say thank you all for being here with me, for listening, being in this fight. You make it all possible. Love you. I love you. Peace.